Yes, but yes, so something new. We merged a PR, which is the counterpart of RemoveField from ContentTypeStep. So now you can remove explicitly a field in a recipe. Now Core fetching. What do we have? So this is where we were last week. Dev branch is on the left, the orange one. So what's going in dev? Updating fluid. There was a bug. What was the bug? Maybe no, later. There was a bug. Oh, by the way, Microsoft released a new framework called Fluid. Should I take offense? No, not this one. This one. Fixing split on empty string. Okay, if you want to split a string into its chars, then it was not working. So now it's working. That's the fix. I don't remember what was the scenario, but this split filter wasn't working. Call UpdateAsync in updateContentItem global method. So from JavaScript script, if you are calling updateContentItem, you need to update also using the content manager to persist the changes. So Jean-Philippe fixed it. Blank recipe available for an I was wondering yesterday, if it had been done. So blank recipe available for an OC.Cms.Core setup. The ID being that, so this file is moved, that when you use the CMS.Core targets, then before that you didn't have any recipe. So you could not go through setup. So now this is fixed. And this is important because the decoupled tutorial is using CMS.Core. And so you need a recipe, empty recipe. And maybe it should also have the headless recipe. That has to be created. Then from Isham, what is it? Try register StringLocalizer outside Core. Yeah, I think to fix one of the issues with the PO file localizer, that it was missing the IStringLocalizer registration, so now it's done. It used to be in well, it used to be somewhere else, but now it's also there. IStringLocalizer. Not sure why we need that, but apparently it's done the same way on SPNet. So fixes user email confirmation that yeah, I think you could not change some of the fields because it was checking for the other field also. Oh no, it was resetting the email confirmed whenever you would change the username. Then fix some ContentTypeQueryResourceBuilder issue. So this is the API that creates a GraphQL query from a Fluent code. You see, with query argument and so on. Rename default to current in themes. Current default. Okay. Everyone's still here. Various docs enhancements. Fixing the docs. fix typos and change H5 titles into liquid docs, also docs formatting. Fix token expiry for global method. The idea being that you can have there was an issue with the lifetime of the tokens that were generated. So this is new documentation for the global methods available in workflows, for instance. And where is the one with the no expiry token lifetime? Just so that when you don't specify a token lifetime, you will get this value. So the code is the same here. But it's days now. Instead of being 7 days by default, it's this one, which is 100 years, apparently. Would be good to know that it's a number of days. So if you don't set any expiration, it will be kind of infinite, but good luck, you will have a bug in 100 years if it's still running. Be careful. RemoveFromContentTypeStep from Test.Pages project. Upgrade Azure Blob Storage API SDK. Okay, Microsoft Azure Storage and all the namespaces. Update package versions from Antoine. All the packages. Okay. Update YesSQL because there was an issue with the version :on SQL Server. Fix typo, missing a single quote at the end here. Docs updated to be more descriptive and inline with the fix of blah blah blah. Oh, with the new template parameters at part name. Yep. Docs tabs. Docs tabs. Tabs for Razor. Tabs for liquid, so this way it looks nice. When we have liquid and Razor samples, you have a tab with the language name over it. Super nice. And Razor is not supported, so it has to be HTML. Okay. Don't call UpdatePartFieldEditorAsync editor twice because the edit method could call update, and in this case it will validate twice the thing, so they fixed it. Update documentation homepage. Both run that. Nope, sir, this is kind of wrong. This was the .NET Core SDK is right. The runtime and SDK doesn't make sense. If you install the version of the latest SDK, you also get the runtime as part of the SDK. It's very rare that you just want the runtime. Just on machines where you just want to run an already built app, you have the runtime, but otherwise you want the SDK. So I assume you just need the SDK, not the runtime.
Okay. And I think this part I copied it from the root README.
Okay, then it's wrong. It might be me at the time when I wrote it, but maybe Nick, I don't know. But I'm sure of it. if you need to install SDK, then you don't need to install a runtime because the SDK will come with the runtime.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't read it, I just copied it because it was different from the...
I see. So now the mistake is consistent, which is good. It's better. At least we know. Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise I'm afraid that people will download the runtime and also download the SDK and install both. Doesn't make sense. Docker, okay. Then fix default HTML display ShapeDescriptor resolution. So Thierry decided to update that, fix some issues and also remove stuff that was not used, like this thing. And I commented on the issue that I remember when I did that like maybe 8 years ago, because to create the shape tracing, it was a way for me to find when a shape is rendered, what was the source of the shape, like is it from code, is it from a template, what's the name of the template, and now we don't use it anymore, so we removed it. So simplify the code and fixed issues. Good job. Very hard to understand how it works internally. Lock prevents a deferred task lambda from holding a ref on a scope service. Remove the locked, and he just declared a local variable so that the closure that doesn't hold the scope, the other variable that are in the same block here. This way it won't hold onto the scope and not release it. So I don't know how he found it, but he found it and fixed it. Here, fixing the same issue we had with part editors, but on the fields here. And I'm wondering if we don't have the same issue in two other places for the display editors on parts and fields. And if you are listening, maybe something to check, because we don't use display editors as much as display custom displays as much as custom editors, but this is the same technique, so maybe we have an issue also on display, custom displays. Fix part position when validation fails. I assume that was a typo here, so fixed it. Type part. The theme Content.cshtml should not have a row without colon. We'll trust Steven that it's correct. The theme, where do we use that? On the default, maybe SAS recipe? Probably. Update custom settings. Update custom settings. This is README documentation. Okay.
Yeah, I replaced C# by code because it was interpreted in Markdown. The title C#.
How do you write sharp in Markdown?
Good question. I don't.
Pound.
So only C was displayed.
Yeah, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So backtick pound. Or is this the question? No. C#. What? I'm confused. Okay, there's a way. Update README, replace features by modules. Okay, and add UI for page size, so you can edit the settings named page size that exist, but there was no UI for it. So reminder, this setting should be used when using pagers so that users can define how many items they want in the page. The same way we might also want to add the count property and max page, so we have the a predefined number of pages in the pager. In case you have millions of content items, you don't want to list the ones that are after the 500th page. And also we might assume a specific count, so we don't use count in queries from the settings. Okay, that's it for the updates. Questions on the updates? No questions on the updates. Demo from Antoine. Trumbowyg.
Does it work? No?
So far I don't see anything, and I see that you're not sharing, so...
Yeah. I've been disconnected, and then... So, you are sharing.
Someone else started sharing, which ended your presentation. And I see that you are sharing now. And I can see your screen. Thank you.
Okay. So, the demo is about a new editor for TextField and for HtmlBody. So on a content type called article, there is an HtmlBody part, and when you edit it, you can select the Trumbowyg editor.
We are still on the content type definition page. It's lagging. Okay, now we can see the list of editors.
So the default WYSIWYG editor still exists and is using Trumbowyg editor.
Okay.
But the new one, Trumbowyg editor, will allow you to explicitly set the config you want to use, and for example, which button you want to add in the toolbar.
Okay. So I will explain why it's like this, okay? Because at first you made a PR that was adding the option to the default editor, to the WYSIWYG editor. And my comment was that if you add settings to the WYSIWYG editor, which are specific for Trumbowyg, here the WYSIWYG editor doesn't say it's Trumbowyg. It happens that we decided to use Trumbowyg as the WYSIWYG editor, but maybe tomorrow our WYSIWYG editor will be something else. So we can't link the WYSIWYG editor to any specific settings. So what I asked Antoine to refactor is to do the same thing, but create a new editor called Trumbowyg editor, where it's explicitly that you are using Trumbowyg, and then we can show options for Trumbowyg. And I think that's better. So these options only will show if you select Trumbowyg explicitly.
Yes. So Trumbowyg has a lot of plugins, and I made a specific JS file that combined most of these plugins, and I use it in the Trumbowyg editor. They are loaded all by default, and you can select which one you want to add as a button. So you can go to the documentation of Trumbowyg and, for example, add one button.
We are still on your Explorer, so wait. You need a new internet. How can we help? Okay, now we can see the settings. I see emoji.
Yes, so I'm adding, for example, the font family one, and previously I added emoji, so there will be an emoji button, and I also added Jiffy and you can configure it saying which API key you use from Giphy. That's the plugin with a specific configuration. So if I save the settings and I reload the create article page, you can see you have.
No, we can't see.
You can add emoji.
No, we can't see. We are still on the content type definition.
You can, okay.
Now we. Oh, can you do it again slowly, because we saw something appearing, but
okay.
So here we can see a pop-up. Okay, emojis. Okay, good.
You can see emojis. You select one. Okay. You can also select GIF.
Or from Giphy. Okay.
You can search to find
squares.
GIF. Yes, it's loading, I guess.
Or maybe the API key is not valid. Whatever. But okay, I didn't know about that. Interesting.
Yeah, well, it was working.
Oh. Yeah, that's your internet. Too slow internet. Okay, we don't hear Antoine anymore.
Can you hear me?
Oh, now we can hear you. Now? Yes, yes.
Selecting the font. So it was for the HtmlBody, and there is the same thing on HTML field. Yes. So on a content type called rich content, I added a field and also made it a widget in the stereotype, and I can edit the settings of the HTML field, select the Trumbowyg editor, edit the editor options, and add plugins like template, line height, preformatted, or special chars. If, for example, you can customize which templates you want to add.
Interesting.
So if you want to add lorem ipsum, you can define your own template. So if I save the settings options and I reload the create page of a rich content, you have the line height, which allows you to create an horizontal rule. You can select the lorem ipsum I configured in the options. So I display the pop-up, I click on lorem ipsum, and it's pasting the content. And you can make specific text into a preformatted code, and you can add special characters like the money symbols or the copyright.
Okay, cool. Thank you. All good. Can merge. Squash and merge. And if it says failed, don't retry. Okay. F5 and squash and merge.
Yes.
That happened to me many times. That's okay. Okay, thank you. Sharing my screen. Any other demo? So this week there was, you can see my screen. I'm waiting for everyone to see my screen. Good. So oh, I have to authenticate again. So Copper Beardy, he made video here. So he's got a Twitch stream, and if we go to videos here, yesterday, how do I turn off the sound? He made this one, Orchard.Core, blah blah blah, and there are ads, but you can find it with the URL or, well, too many ads, whatever. So what he did is he followed the decoupled website tutorial, and it was super interesting because he tried it first 2 weeks ago, I think, and it failed completely because he was using the core package as explained in the documentation, but it was wrong at the time. And he found out that he could not use a core package, he had to use a CMS package directly. And then he didn't follow completely the tutorial and was adding stuff that was conflicting with Orchard Core. And then he will be blocked for 1 hour. So it was painful to watch because he could not do anything. So I fixed the documentation and he tried again, and everything worked. He had some typos and little oddities because the documentation is based on the dev branch, but at the same time it's pointing to the NuGet.org package. So for instance, the console log extension method, which is only on the dev branch, was not working, but by himself he went on the myget feed and it worked. And also we fixed the core package now that there is a recipe that works. Some typos in the text also, because it was reading and it didn't make sense. The sentence didn't make sense, and because I'm French, so the English doesn't work in some cases. So I have to fix a few sentences, but otherwise it went well, and he managed in 2 hours with breaks to follow all the tutorial and have the decoupled site with a blog post, with custom blog post, custom alias. Also, Dean added the defaults for the alias pattern and the auto-route pattern, but the tutorial tells, oh, edit the alias configuration and add this pattern. And I was confused, why do we need to add that? It's already there. It's just because in the meantime we added it by default. So I need to also remove some things from the tutorial, but that went well. I was it felt good to see someone follow it and to get feedback, like user study from what are the actual issues when someone follows the tutorial and has no idea about what this is and why do we do that. So that's interesting. That's an update. Also another topic, there on Gitter, some, I think Peter Keating and Steven Spitz were talking about the widget screen, and mentioning, so if you have followed the widgets, the flow part, it looks like more and more the layout module in Orchard 1. But that's good because we love the layout modules and we wanted to make it simpler in Orchard Core in terms of development and usage. It is simpler, but we are adding features after feature, and it looks like more and more like the layout in Orchard 1. So Steven and Pete wanted to fix the drop down of the widgets, because if you have like 20 widgets, a drop down is not sufficient anymore. To make it a pop-up, and you could drag and drop. So they are looking into that. We have an issue already from last year that we need to improve that. And also one impact of this change will be that we will have a new setting in the content types that will be called category. So when we manage content types, the same way we have a stereotype, we could define a category for this type. And in the UI, when we display these content types, they will be grouped by category. And in the case of widgets, then because widgets are custom content types, then we will use this category to group the widgets into categories. That's an idea that has been discussed on Gitter, which I think is fine. And because we will at some point support dynamic data localization, we'll be also able to localize these dynamic categories. That should be okay. So that's what I found on Gitter. What else? Let's look at what's happening on the branches PRs. So we almost have as many PRs as Redis. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Redis, GitHub. Just let's take a look at the Redis repository and see that they have 800 pull requests pending. Okay, that's a lot. We don't have as much, but a tenth. So we had 95, I think, yesterday. So a lot of work on the PRs. Some of them should be good to go, but some of them need review. And I'm late on the PRs. If you think PRs are good in terms of code, take the courage to merge them. If you are not confident a PR is good, then wait, ping me, and we can see it together. I know my main priority in terms of big work will be the one from Hisham, because it's blocked on progress for data localization. But the rest I haven't checked much. I checked the Trumbowyg one, and that's why I asked Antoine to refactor it, and now we can merge it because he did a change. And what do we have? Use deferred task in Lucene indexing content handlers. It's from the theory. Updating the Lucene indexing should be easy. Using jQuery UI in admin only where needed. Okay, we'll see. Bootstrap confirm model for move media, another Bootstrap model instead of the standard alert. Migration to OpenIDICT 3.0. That lets me talk. So he says don't merge because he wants he's waiting for something to ship. I don't remember what. About shipping v1. I'm looking for .NET Core schedule. One is .NET Core 3.1 supposed to ship. Do we know? I know, but I don't know what's public. I assume everything.
November. End of November, maybe.
You said end of November.
Yeah.
December 2019. Okay, so that's December 2019, but they don't say exactly what day. Interesting. So I'm suggesting that we ship the v1 with NetCore 3.1. This will be the LTS for the NetCore, and there won't be any more update until the next big one, 5.0, so I assume next September. That's what has been scheduled publicly. So we should align on that, the same way we align the RTM on 3.0, and that's a good time. It should be early December. That's a good time, unless there are issues. That's a good time to sync. Gives us 1 month to polish and merge the PRs we are missing, and that will be good. This way we won't have to re-update with 3.1 when it ships. Okay, so that's my goal right now, and I assume everyone will agree. What is this link? A pull request. New content item UX proposal. What did we miss? Didn't we talk about it already? Content items UX proposal. Oh, that's different. That's a big. Why do you share this link? That's a big one. What was the status on this PR? Because Antoine did something and then Isham made something else, I think.
No? Yeah, but we closed it.
Okay.
Yeah, and this one is ready to merge.
Oh, already? Because we had there were some bugs, no? Or maybe you fixed them?
I did all the
comments we said remove culture, for instance, and things like this, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you changed the... Okay, so I will look at the code and then we can merge. Just want to check that the code is fine. Like references and things like this. Good, okay. Ping me on this one because I will forget. Don't evaluate liquid for hitting body markdown. Optimizations, because in the drivers sometimes we check twice or sometimes we should not check. So there are lots of changes on this one and I have already reviewed it. There are some pending comments. Fixes attribute name conflicts in base shape tag helper. This one based on Bertrand's feedback. There are some conflicts with the properties that we expose in the shape tag helper with the default properties of shapes. Make templates modules case insensitive. Templates module case insensitive. Well, maybe in the editor, but that might be an issue because on Linux everything is case sensitive, so we have to be. Data annotation in PO files, iQuery results orchard helper extension methods from Jasmin, who's not here. This one we saw. Deployment step for OpenID. Datetime offset field. There was a discussion with Niraj that we need a new field that will store both the datetime and the time zone in which this datetime is entered for, so that when we render this field, we can render it with the selected time zone and the exact datetime that was entered. We already have a datetime which is time zone agnostic, a point in time. We also have a date and a time field. And I think we agreed on, we missed this one, datetime plus offset. So we store it as this datetime and also with the offset in two different SQL fields for the index at least, and then we can render it as it was entered. Plus methods to converting to actual date times in the time zone that was selected, if we want to manipulate it. Filter features dependencies. I have no idea what it is. But review should be easy.
Yes. It's a small one, but
so what is that?
see the issue it fixes.
Oh, so we can select, if you type localization, it will also filter on the tags, okay. Because the name of the feature might not, and we agreed on the change, okay. Please merge. Squash merge, sorry. Please squash merge. New admin menu, approved. So why isn't it merged already?
I was waiting the triage meeting during which we could.
Okay. Oh, but last time we didn't go to the PRs because too many issues and I went out of battery. Sorry. That's also why we are late on the PRs, because the triage meetings, we have so many issues to triage, we don't even go to the PRs. workflow task to validate user, fix warning in graphical build. Okay, easy. Auto setup feature for setup module. I will review it and maybe merge it. The only concern being the creation of database. And oh, culture agnostic content. We need a demo from Jean-Philippe. Culture agnostic content being that we can define rules. So when you localize a content item, which fields or parts or whatever you want should not vary across localizations. For instance, a shirt size. When you convert it from English to French, the shirt size should be the same. And if you change it in one item, all the other items will be synchronized. Okay, so culture agnostic content. How it works and how it was decided that it will work is that so each content item for each culture is unique. Okay, it's a different content item record. So we clone all the data on each content item. But when you update one, because it's part of the same localization set, so they all have a part called localization set with the same ID, so they are part of the same logical group. All these localizations will then, so they will trigger an event that it was updated, and this feature will look at the settings for each content type and apply the settings to each content item of the same localization set. And by cloning the properties, by copying the properties of the JSON document that we tag into every other document. And I think it's done using JavaScript, because when we talked about all the things we could do or want to do, or JSON patch or JSON path maybe, at least I don't remember what we decided. Let's see what it did. Not sure we'll be able to find out. Parse JSON. Yeah, the idea is that there is a way pattern to generate the JSON that is culture neutral. That's why we need a demo. So there is just a way to configure for each content type what we need to copy in the other content items of the same localization set. Because for bags, for instance, that might be an issue. It's not just one by one mapping. You need to maybe iterate over every bag to do something. So we need a demo. We need to ping. Okay. Questions? Topics? Widgets, categories, some PR. Topics. What's the name? Harvest. So we have a 1.0 soon. We have an RTM. When do we do harvest? I'm okay to work on a harvest now. And I will suggest either February or April, just because it's a school off. How do you say? No school time on these dates. And location, not Redmond. Somewhere where it's not cold. Okay. Anywhere. Who has ideas, suggestions? What did we say last time? Preferably Europe, because last time it was in the US, but not mandatory. As long as it's accessible, like East Coast or whatever. But we have lots of people from Europe. So who wants to say something? Suggestions, not suggestions? Hungary, yeah, sure. Hungary is an option. What's the weather like in February, April in Hungary? Not that good, right? You would have said Greece or Italy, maybe better. Yeah. When did we do Alicante? I think it was in October. Probably it was. Yeah, it was probably. So that was great. We have connections there. That's also an option. Yep. Somewhere warm. Dean. And London. London is an option because if it's not warm, England is an option. Okay, I let you think about it, but I'm super open to organizing it in February or April. Even February, if we decide to go with that dates, is totally fine in terms of schedule. 3 months. So 1, 2, 3 months at least. April even more time to organize, but 3 months is sufficient usually. So yeah, need to organize that. And I would love that we have some workshops also, because it's a new version, so people will need to learn. Sometimes England is not too cold in April. Yeah, sometimes it's very cold and very rainy. Yeah. That we have so many people from England that's an option. There are lots of people in Hungary also, but from the same company. Yeah. Okay. Let's think about it. And as usual, we'll also use local help from anyone wherever we decide to go. For instance, last time it was Alicante because Sergio decided, okay, I will help you, and he found the place and he helped a lot to organize in Alicante because he was there. So that was one point. Every time we do that this way. I think just for New York we didn't have any local help, but I'm in the US, so it was easy. Okay, good. No more questions? Bertrand, no updates on the e-commerce? No updates. That's okay.
So, sorry, I was.
Oh, you were talking.
No updates. Actually, I took a 1 week break from the commerce work to
that's
update other projects. So I'll go back to it.
People tweeted about it.
Probably next week.
Okay, people tweeted about it. They said, "Wow, e-commerce!" Yeah.
Yeah, and actually, if people want to start working on the checkout, we can talk. I mean, contributions are appreciated at this point.
And I even saw Brett retweeted someone. Maybe I don't know what. I was like, oh, okay. Good. Okay, thanks everyone. See you on Thursday for PR triage. Don't create any issue, so we have time to triage the PRs. Thank you. Bye-bye.